Hayden here from Arsenal Pass for FabTCG.com, covering 2 more deck techs that we're bringing you for this Dynasty gameplay series. This time 2 full-powered decks in the form of Arakni and Rhinar. Check out the decks. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fab TCG YouTube channel. It's Hayden here from Arsenal Pass, here with another deck tech in this Dynasty Blitz gameplay series, this time featuring the newest hero in Flesh and Blood, Arakni. Now, this is the deck that I'm playing in the final game of this series, playing into Brendan on Rhinar, and this particular Arakni build, we're starting pretty simple, really safe, and just a really core mid-range build. Now, this deck in particular actually is an adaptation of a list that was passed on to me by Pat from the Combat Chain podcast, so big shout out to Pat there, and really features around playing like 2-card hands in most turns of the game, and then often setting up one of these turns with Black Tech Whisperers, the newest legendary in Flesh and Blood, one of the newest legendaries from Dynasty that's really powerful and can keep being recurred. So we're trying to play a lot of 2-card hands and then an occasional 4 or 5 card turn and hitting more of those sort of contract attacks. Now that's the thing about Assassin, right? We've got this ability with contract, and if we can hit multiple attacks on one turn, that's where we're going to get a lot of advantage. We're going to get multiple of those on-hit effects, we're going to banish multiple cards, we're going to get multiple silvers ideally, and that's going to set us up for future turns, ways to recur, Mask of Perdition, and Black Tech Whisperers. Now, in Blitz, that might be a little bit of a harder ask. You know, the games are a lot faster, but we are playing a lot of cards that are going to slow the game down, and as you say, let us play these 2-card hands. So we've got Sink Blows and Fateful Scenes as defense reactions to help us do that, and then we also have Command and Conquers and Enlightened Strikes, again, going to allow us to play those 2-card hands. Command and Conquer particularly help us disrupt what our opponent's trying to do. I want to talk about the equipment side a little bit before we get into some more of the cards in the core of the deck. So when we talk about, you know, we've got 11 slots to play with our equipment, of course, 2 pieces already taken up our Spider's Bite. These weapons are really great, and what they're going to do is going to allow us on sort of off turns and bigger turns to still be effective. So on these sort of like 2-card, 3-card hand turns, what they're going to do is come in for 1, threaten that next on-hit ability. So, you know, if our opponents then want to defend with attack actions, those are going to be minus value of 1, so as well as having piercing. So we can come in after that with, say, a 1 cost or a 0 cost assassin attack action, threaten that contract, threaten to make a silver, which we can use for later value. And then, of course, if we have a 3-card hand, ideally it would be one of these attack reactions in the form of Cut to the Chase, Shred, or Razor Reflex. We do have Cut the Chase in yellow and blue as well, and Shred in blue. That's going to enable us to push over damage. And we're looking at sort of like 7, 8 damage off those, off those, well, 9 damage actually off those turns, which for 3-card hands is about on rate, but we're also going to get silver in return, as well as messing with our top of our opponent's deck, you know, maybe putting a really key card on the bottom, thanks to Arakni's ability. And hopefully maybe one of these on-hit effects, they're going to even disrupt the hand. If it's something like a surgical extraction, well, we're really ahead there. So that's kind of what we're doing with these Spider's Bites. In terms of our equipment suite, we do have access to more of our sideboard options for the Wizard matchup. We've got Noah in Robe, Noah in Gloves, and Arcane Lantern. And then we've got what I'd probably call our core Black Tech Whisperers, really powerful piece of legendary equipment that we want to try and get value out of over the game. Goliath Gauntlet. Now this is primarily going to be for a Command and Conquer or a Surgical Extraction. In fact, only for those in this match. Usually we're looking to do it on a Command and Conquer, but on a bigger sort of contract turn, that 5-card hand, maybe we're going a bit wider, we'll look to put it on something like a Surgical Extraction. And then we have Tunic. Slowing the game down, we're going to get value out of Tunic in these matchups, so that's why we play that in the chest slot. And then we do have access to Iron Rock Gauntlet and Crown of Providence. We can play the Crown of Providence or we can play the Mask of Perdition, depending on the matchup. If you really want that defensive value, I would, maybe into a Guardian, a Bravo with Dominate abilities, I'd go with the Crown of Providence. But Mask of Perdition is also quite a powerful thing. And if we are looking to set up these contract turns, that's when that can be really effective. We play 2 contract cards, we use the Mask of Perdition, banish something, get those effects. You know, there could be something, especially something with like Surgical Extraction on those big turns. In terms of the core of the deck, we've already talked about a lot of these value pieces on the left-hand side here. Our sort of games, cards are going to slow the game down, our defense reactions, and then our 2-card sort of Command and Conquers and E-Strikes. Now, E-Strike, of course, can be used on a bigger turn with the Go Wide ability, but that coming in for 7 off 2 cards also really good. And then our reactions, which we already know about. Then we go through to our Assassin attack actions, sort of our bread and butter, our core sort of red cards that are going to threaten damage and help us push damage and actually win games. Probably stand out from this is Leave No Witness, of course, the Majestic. But then if we move over to the side, things like Surgical Extraction, one of those powerful cards in Assassin, I think. So you're really looking for those as the ones that are going to help you set up these sort of bigger turns. Outside of that, you do just have some good value attacks in blue, yellow, and of course things like Annihilate the Arms. These are going to be crucial for pushing those 2-3 card hands, but also you're going to need these sorts of attacks, especially the 0-cost ones on those bigger turns. So That's the Arakni deck that I'm playing in this Dynasty gameplay series. I think it's a good place to start. I think if you're looking to maybe you want to turn this into a bit more of a budget-friendly version, I think you can easily cut the Command and Conquers and E-Strikes. You can go for things like Sigil. I know Pat in the original list was playing Sigil over the E-Strikes. You could even move the Command and Conquers to maybe another Assassin attack. On the other side of that, if you want to maybe move off this Fandel Spring Tunic, I think you could look to play something like Blossom of Spring even, or something like Vest of the First Fist for the bigger turns. All right, that's going to do it, and we'll see you in the gameplay video.
Hey everybody, Brendan Patrick here from Arsenal Pass to do a deck tech on the Rhinar deck I played in our video series here on the Fab TCG YouTube channel. So this is a fully powered up Rhinar deck. Really important to note off just from the bat, right? It's a Romping Club deck, so not a Claw deck, not a Rock deck, unfortunately. But I think that this archetype in particular got a lot of upgrades from Dynasty. And we can see that almost in it, like immediately here in the Madcap Charger, right? So some of the biggest turns that you're going to have with this deck are the go again into Romping Club without having to utilize, potentially rolling your Scab Skins or popping your Beaten Trackers. These are just the backbone of what this deck is trying to do. It doesn't play the full 6 Barraging Beatdown package, only plays the blues, so it's not really trying to kind of juice the opponent by intimidating their whole hand and killing them on turn 0. It's more of a mid-range deck, more just pumping a lot of damage and a lot of value. So yeah, you have these 6 go again attacks. Then you have things like Savage Feast, and what I would consider after that in these 8 cards are big attack cards, right? Our Savage Beatdowns, our Swing Bigs, and our Massacre, ideally as discard fodder. After that, Blood Rush Bellow. Blood Rush Bellow, of course, is in every single Brute deck, whether it's Claws or not. Just a very, very good card you could be playing. For our yellows, these are mostly just discard fodder, to be honest. Beast Within being a very good thing to discard, replacing itself. And Fandol's Fighting Spirit is actually very powerful as a yellow in Rhinar because you have that ability to also block with it and gain the life. It's a great card and a great addition, I think, from Uprising specifically. Next up, we have our blues. These blues are pretty standard, to be honest. You do have the blue Barraging Beatdowns. We don't have any other colors. High Roller, as well as Reckless Swing. Reckless Swing is a great card in Blitz. Gives Brute an alternate win condition to sort of grind the opponent out, which is very, very good, right? Once your opponent's below 4, you sort of have this potential game plan in order to win the game over the course of the long game, right? Whether you're pitching or you just draw into these cards. I think, though, probably the coolest thing from Dynasty specifically, though, is Beaten Trackers. I think Beaten Trackers most of the time is going to be correct in Blitz because it's so consistent and so powerful, right? You're able to pop it whenever you discard a 6 or more, get that additional action point and play out potentially another big attack. Scabskins Leathers obviously offers this like a similar ability and has an additional defensive value, but in Blitz you don't really have the margin for error to potentially whiff on something like Scabskin. It can be absolutely devastating, and I feel like you almost lose the game on the spot. So I would opt to play Beaten Trackers in most scenarios. I think that this is a great addition. And then, yeah, to close it out, it's Romping Club, right? So you're not completely reliant on these big Blood Rush Bellow turns. It's a great card, and those are some of your power turns, but you don't need to draw Blood Rush Bellow to win the game, which makes this deck feel a lot more fun to play. You also don't need to play 3 Barraging Beatdowns and completely rip your opponent's entire hand on turn 0 to win the game. This is a much less high roll version of Rhinar and Blitz, very mid-rangey, pumping out a lot of damage, a lot of value, and for me, I think this is the most fun version of Rhinar to play. That being said, there's a little rock deck that's floating around with that's the new weapon from Dynasty. I would love to hear if anybody has played with that deck in Blitz yet, and how they've built it, right? So let me know in the comments below what you think of this Rhinar deck specifically, but tell me about Rock. If you've been playing with Rock, what kind of shell does it fit into? Is it real? Is it a meme? Let me know. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this Rhinar deck. I think this might be the better way to go in Blitz rather than all in on Rock. But yeah, Dynasty gave Brute a ton of options to play with, and it's a great class to pick up in Blitz post release of Dynasty. Hope you all enjoy the gameplay.